Product market fit. What a nice mysterious term. But what is it and how do you get there? Well, that's exactly what I'm gonna explain in this video. Let's get started from the very beginning. What is product market fit? To make things simple, this is pretty much where people are starting to get the value out of the product you've created. It might take some time, but usually at this point your average revenue per user is going to go high enough and your churn is going to go low enough for people to really adopt the product and maybe tell other people about it. Now, this is a critical point because at this point usually you should be getting into the growth phase where you can market your product aggressively and heavily to get new users into the system, make serious profits and become a market leader. However, it's not so easy to get there. Many companies never get there. Some companies struggle to get there. It usually takes a long time and a lot of tweaking and updating the product and things around it to kind of make sure it goes to where it should go. Either you should change your messaging or the product or the support or many other things that at the beginning you really don't know because you don't know what your customers want from you. You think you do, but you don't. And getting there might be a little bit complex. I'm gonna give you a quick map to show you what's the best way to get there fast. I mean, as fast as you can. Now, it's important to mention that to get into a product market fit, it might be super hard, but it's very simple. There are 4 steps you can follow and it's gonna make things much simpler for you. The first step is really talk to your customers all the time and listen to them. And there are a few ways you can go about it. First of all, you wanna have a live chat within your software or your website and initiate conversations with everybody who goes to your product, and you really want to be proactive about it. Don't wait for people to start talking to you. You want to be there, and whenever they're starting a conversation, make sure you are there to capture their valuable feedback. It's like gold. You need to take it, you need to treat it with respect, and you need to understand what they need. Now, you don't really need to build everything they say because it's impossible, but you do need to start prioritizing this. You can also use in-app surveys. You can use tools like Hotjar to let them rate the experience with specific features and understand what they're using or not. You need to use some sort of analytic tools like Mixpanel, for example, to measure specific funnels within the product or the usage of specific features to understand what people are looking for. Heat maps, again, using Hotjar to understand their experience. You can watch their recording and see whenever they don't understand the product. You can really realize these points where you see people are getting stuck because you thought you built it in a very intuitive way, but apparently you didn't. But if you don't talk to your customers and you don't investigate them, you really don't gonna know that. Another very important thing when it comes to talking to your customers is reach out to uninstallers, people who left the product, and try to just ask them in a very simple way why. And it doesn't have to be in order to get them back, it's just in order to understand what was the key thing that got them to leave you. And if you can start ranking these reasons, you'll understand what you need to tackle first. Okay, if 20 people told you that they left because of the pricing, maybe it's something needs to consider. I'm not saying remove or reduce the pricing, but maybe you can tweak your pricing plans to be a better fit for smaller customers or create maybe like a light plan for them to start using the product. Maybe these complaints will go down. So this is just another thing you should do in terms of proactive support. The last thing when it comes to proactive support is make sure that you have great help center, help videos all over the place. Some people respond well to written content, some people respond well to visual content, some people respond well to videos only. So it really depends on the type of person, but you do want to have these guides all over the app in the relevant places. You don't want them to go to this help desk or help whatever resource and then they need to start searching for the right article. No, you want to put the right article and the right video in the right place within the app, so it's going to be super easy for them to find instructions on how to use your service. Okay, so you do want to have this proactive support all over the app, talking to your customers and gather feedback. Moving on to the second step, which is prioritize and count. Now that you gather all this information, you need to understand what you need to do first, how to tackle these issues that the customers are having in a way that makes sense. You need to understand what's the most critical, what's the most requested, what are the most common questions, what people are leaving. Once you have that, now it's time to really organize everything in a way that makes sense. We use a few tools. The main one is called HelloNext. It's a tool that allows you to really upvote features in the names of customers and then update them once any changes are made. It's very easy to follow, and support agents can upvote in the name of customers, which is super helpful. You can also like embed it into your app, and then people can request different features from within the app. A lot of other things. There are also like hidden boards when we upvote all the questions that customers are asking in order to over time answer these questions in a more proactive way. So again, once you have these features and you start prioritizing them in quantities, you want to understand what are the most requested features. Once you have that, then you need to understand also what exactly is it going to include. Maybe it's something that is easier to build, so maybe I should prioritize it faster, even though more people are asking for something else that is going to take much more time to build with the resources you have. So again, there is some product work to be done here, but it's very intuitive for you as the founder. You need to understand that some things can come before others. You also need to understand what is critical and what is just a nice to have feature. Some people might leave because you don't have a specific feature, and maybe many more ask for another feature like changing the color of a button, but they're not going to leave because of it. But if there's something else that is core and is critical to less customers, but it's important to, you know, retain them, you need to understand the revenue value of each feature. It's not just about like what's been asked the most, but what is the most critical to your customers and what is the simplest thing to build. So the things you need to take in consideration is the amount, the criticality, I don't even know if it's a word, but how critical it is, and then how complex it is to build. So take these three parameters in mind whenever you prioritize next things you're gonna build. Okay. Moving on to the second thing we talked about is why people leave. You can use all sort of automations to get answer from the customers about why they leave, and then you can prioritize different reasons as for why they leave and tackle them one by one. If it's the pricing, try and understand why it was. If it's the support, see how you can improve your support. If it's specific features, figure out how you can do it. And then, you know, if someone told you that he left because this feature is missing, you can upvote in the name of the customer, and then when you release it, it's automatically going to be updated using HelloNext. So this is just an example. The last thing, as I mentioned, is understand the most common questions. Maybe questions, and this is very important, it's tough, and you need to train your support agents or yourself. Whenever a question comes up, even if you have this feature, you want to list this question down. And you want to upvote that to see what the most frequent questions are, because maybe you already have a solution and maybe there is an answer, but then you need to create something that is proactive. If you see 20 people are asking for the same thing, you need to figure out how to make it more obvious so they don't have to ask it. That's going to really improve the overall performance of the app. What we've done is we embedded different help videos or help, you know, these tooltips that kind of show you what you need to do, or even better, you can automate things to make things for them so they don't really have to do it themselves. All right, moving on to point number 3, which is execute, and I think this is the one that is most critical. Now guys, we're left with 2 last steps that you need to follow. To be honest, if you follow this video so far, it's already good enough, because the next step, which is execute, is just implementing the things we talked about, but make it in a smart way. As we talked about it, for example, with feature requests, there are 3 parameters you need to have in mind. Understand according to priority, criticality, amount, and the complexity it will take to build what you're building next, and just build it. Give it to the customer, make sure you update them, make sure you make it simple. If it comes to frequently asked questions, make sure that you do put the relevant video and information within the product. And if you can automate, you want to have very strong defaults to the product, okay? If you understand that many people asking to change something, maybe it's a good idea to make it a default so they don't even have to like look it up, because they're never gonna miss out on it. They're just going to be there whenever they come to the product. You can also, if there are frequently asked questions, put everything in there, and if you can automate things for them, like create these specific links for your support team to send to them, and whenever they click it, it automatically does things for them in the background, great. Ideal, that's great. And if you can provide your support agent access to their account so they can change things for them whenever they ask for, even greater. You just want to make life simple to your customers, and of course, for the reasons they left you, you want to keep optimizing on that to make sure you solve all the objections they have. If it's around pricing, if it's around features, if it's around support, if it's around anything else, you really want to make it simple for them. Moving on to the 4th and final step, which is repeat. You need to understand that this is an ongoing process, okay? It's never going to end. People always gonna need more. You're going to provide more. Things are going to get more complex. There are going to be more questions. People are going to leave you. You need to always tweak these things as the product changes. People need other things. As the resources grow, things get more complex and you always need to monitor it. Also, you always want to rethink things you consider a bland truth. You experience your product on a daily basis, so it's so intuitive for you. But for other customers that use the product, it's just another tool in their toolbox, and it's not as intuitive for them as it is to you. So they might have a lot of questions that you think, all right, I already optimized it to the fullest. But if you always be creative and dive deep into what you can improve, you're always going to find these small tweaks that are going to make things so much easier for your customers. You want to make it simple and automated. Okay, so repeat the process. And again, if we're talking about it, number one is providing proactive support. Number two is prioritizing. Number three, executing. Number four, just repeating the process. And if you continue doing that, you're going to get to a product market fit, because eventually everything is going to work for your customers. It might take a while. I can't tell you how long it's going to take, but eventually that's the way to get to a product market fit. And it feels so good to be there. So trust me, you want to be there. Moving on to one extra tip that I have for you is just avoid looking and being like everybody else on the market. Okay, it's good, again, it's always good to look at your competitors, to learn from them about what's possible. But if you want to take it to the next level, you need to understand your customers and not your competitors. Okay, so ask your customer what they need to do and build it in a way you would like to build it, not like your competitors did it. Okay, because you can do better. You don't need to look at your competitor as an example to someone who knows everything. If you do that, you're always going to be behind your competitor. You need to be one step ahead of them, at least. If possible, a few extra steps. And if you're small and you have a huge competitor, it's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. Just follow these steps and you're going to be fine. And yes, you need to understand, if you follow this process, it's not like, I don't think that product market fit is something that happens within a day. Maybe if you release a big feature, but not always. Sometimes it's just a slow process that happens when every time you release a new feature, the numbers goes a little bit up, people stay a little bit longer, they are willing to pay a little bit more, they are willing to share the product a little bit more because you built something they liked, and it can take time. It doesn't have to be like this one big thing that you do and then you're in product market fit. It can be, but not necessarily. So you just need to understand it and just keep doing what you're doing. Don't seek for that one point in time when everything kind of goes straight and all the stars are aligning or anything like that. Just do what you do, keep doing it good, keep prioritizing, keep listening to your customers, and everything is going to be fine. Keep doing what you're doing. By the way, if you want to pre-register to our online course about how to build a micro SaaS when you're not a developer, just check out the link below. Same if you want to get the SaaS founder or micro SaaS founder starter pack, full packed with resources. Again, the link is in the description below. It's all free. So check it out. I'll see you on the next video. Bye.